Yeah, what do you do? The shooting in New Zealand. Yeah, it's interesting to look at the media coverage of the shooting in New Zealand. I mean, what what's astonishing is um, it hasn't been 24 hours, and you can already see the format, the blueprint, the the whole thing taking shape according to the usual pro forma. Um, I mean, it wasn't even 24 hours ago, and there was apparently two mosques. There was two mosques got shot up, and um, now the media's just turning it into one mosque, and there's already vigils at the mosque for the victims, um, and and like there's all these condolences flooding in from Western politicians and nonsense. And I mean, they're not. I mean, they haven't. I mean, the bodies haven't even cooled off, or even if there were any bodies, or even if this is all wasn't all just a made up thing. I mean, who's got money to fly to New Zealand to check it out? I mean, nobody. Who's got the time? But now you see the media's settling on the formula, the usual formula. There was two mosques, now there's one mosque, and they found the guy. Guess what? A whitey, a wasp whitey, no doubt, who, had guns in his mother's basement, and all the usual nonsense. But now, I mean, before, it wasn't even 24 hours, and the New Zealand government starts saying it's going to start tightening up gun laws. And they've found the guy, a lone shooter who acted alone, and the second or more mosque shootings are just going to go down the memory hole, and it's going to turn into the usual drama. One crazed white guy goes nuts at a mosque because of and they're saying that right-wing extremism. They said we were saying right-wing extremism before the bodies hit the floor even. I mean, they were saying all this stuff, tightening up gun laws. There's one guy from Australia, from the country, if there was a coordinated attack on a number of mosques, it must have been some kind of terrorist gang, at least, or some kind of conspiracy. Now, they're so, and that's the funny thing, this is the usual thing. They'll fix upon this one lone killer who acted alone, and then start blaming everyone else for being responsible or being involved somehow, but just simply in the same breath. I mean, obviously that was a CIA thing or a ASIO thing, like Port Arthur. I mean, there was a team of shooters. I mean, you can't shoot up two mosques. One guy can't shoot up two mosques. I mean, like Anders Breivik, who he went and supposedly drove around the whole southern Norway in one day, setting off bombs and shooting up people. It had to be a team, but no, it's a lone killer who acted alone, and of course, but he's part of a right-wing cell of which you are probably a member of, and we're going to fire you from your job and all that. But this is all pretty normal. So yeah, if under any illusions about the media not being under complete control of the Illuminati, I mean, just look what they're doing. They've got all these basically. I mean, this stuff. I mean, and now it's like in coordination with this silly climate change protests at downtown in Sydney. And, the media, what's the media saying? Massive crowd, massive. I was there. It was like about 1,000 school kids. And most of them were there, they told me, because they wanted the day off school. And and there was the usual bunch of rent-a-mob leftists, with their, their bullhorns and their rubbish and their usual just and their prepared speeches. And I mean, they didn't expect me to get up and start shouting and bellowing, and so they called the cops to drag me away. But yeah, they're teaching this global warming crap in geography classes. I mean, it's like the teaching profession is full of Bolsheviks. I mean, complete rabid Bolsheviks, and they're just fixed on global warming as their takedown issue to try and bring down the capitalist supremacy or hegemony, and as usual, and the usual. But it was a fizzer. I mean, but of course the media makes it look like this huge groundswell of opinion in use. It was the usual disappointing crowd that you get to all the Palestinian things. Like, there's the usual rent-a-mob, and there's about 1,000 people, and they make a lot of noise, and I mean, they're all crowded into St. Andrew's Square, because it looked like a lot of people. But you walk not even a block away, you walk around the corner, and the streets are basically empty like they are normally in town. There's just people walking up and down the walkways, but it wasn't a huge crowd. And yeah, the media's saying it's all youth is concerned about their, wetting their pants about climate change and not going to school anymore and blah 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 blah. I mean, if you had any illusions about what the media's up to, yeah, look at this whole, just follow this whole mosque shooting in New Zealand thing. I mean, same old, same old.